Hey everybody, welcome back to the smoke room. I know, crazy. Uh, it's been a few days, I think. It has. It's been a few days. It's now June 4th. Uh, cool. I know you can't see me, but like I basically to my right is my wall, and there's a calendar here. I'm looking at that right now, and why am I telling you this? I don't fucking know. Anyway, uh, basically, um, whatever. Let's just get into this. Uh, yeah, it's been 3 days. It's currently 2:30 on June the 4th. We get to camp. It's a fair bit less crowded than it was before we left. I think some folks already went to bed for the night, but they won't get much sleep with this coyote trying to put his guitar out of its misery. I don't know the first thing about musical instruments, but I know they ain't supposed to sound like that. Uh, Murdoch and Cliff just fading into existence. It's even worse. It's even worse hearing it up close. And yet I can't look away. Good God! Not too late to head back to the spring. Disturbed Jebediah and Avery, no doubt ruining their night. Listen to this for a moment longer. Difficult choice. Just sit down and have a drink. I'm quite parched. Strenuous activity will do that to you. Ever give you that line? Murdoch shrugs, an all too cocky grin plastered on his face. Surprised he's still with energy for this. Starting to get more than a little tired myself. Well, hello there, Ed. The hell you fellas are. I reckon you drowned in the spring of how long you been gone. That sort of thing doesn't happen often, I hope. Only once or twice. It's once or twice too many. What have you been up to? Just been plugging away. I swear this whole thing's starting to lose its sound. Might be a little out of tune. More than a little, I'd say. Could you hand it over? I'll see what I can do. You play? I sneak in some breaks where I can. Man after my own heart, I do say. You up to fill out? Sure, hand it over. Cliff and I watch as Murdoch takes the guitar and proceeds to busy himself with it for the next half hour. For long, it's starting to sound less offensive to my ears, and by that time, Avery and Jebediah return. And by the time Avery and Jebediah return, it sounds like a real instrument. Murdoch really does have a lot of talents. That'll do the trick. You fixed her up right quick. Not a problem. Hopefully she'll do better from now on. And our eardrums, too. I'm gonna give it a try. I think he's just hesitant to give it back to him. Know any songs? Only a couple raunchy ones. You really are a keeper. Got a couple other musicians with us today who might be willing to join. Wouldn't that disturb the people currently in their tents? Cut away from them off. They've heard worse. Well, if you say so. Fancy a dance, Samuel? Run of these people? You'll be alright, I'll lead. That's not Cliff's voice. You'll be alright, I'll lead. It's not what I'm worried about. I know just the song. Oh boy, Murdoch, what are you doing? The fuck is happening? What is this?
Wind rocks the desert night, the summer sand, natural things, natural.
Oh geez, he does not have the voice I thought he did.
Should understand, and nothing's more natural than knowing how to move. Here's a tune about an ache that we can soothe. Let's reenact a snappy scene that duds might find mundane, about a pair of partners who hit up and missed their train. One grabbed the other's wrist and asked him, buy a man some hooch. Course the other said, we'll slire another working pooch. He tossed and taps a shoulder blade as temperance flies the coop. Then eyes meet eyes and glass meets glass as whiskers start to droop. Well, if you're feeling spry and gay, I think you know what's next. Lock eye to eye and elbows hooked and keep your partner flexed.
Wow. That is so fucking cute. Oh my god.
Wet your whistle, quench your thirst, though it be hard to see. Having vice ain't always nice, but hey, at least you'll free.
Oh.
Now take a dip and hook his hip, remind me of that scene where words pass lips between the sips and somewhere rather mean. But hey, they're pressed in closer, hey, their courage bloomed, and hey, they're taking wagers, boasting over which their manhood loomed. Though thigh to thigh and pockets frisked, he grabbed his partner's wrist. Got a different kind of drink for you, I simply must insist.
What? This is fucking adorable. Oh my god.
Now my mind grows foggy as those spirits fade. Look now how morning light is seizing our charade. Ruffled slacks, sweaty backs, all about the floor. Revel quietly as others about you snore. Lock gazes and think upon my scene. You may find the things they hadn't yet and thoughts between. Lovers light, morning dark, and everything you know. There as many locks and keys as you alone.
Oh my gosh, this is fucking cute. What? Okay, I was about to say, don't you dare. Don't you dare try and scare me in this absolutely adorable moment. You fucking piece of shit. Oh my god, they are so cute. That was adorable. Oh my god. Oh! That's one way to end a chapter, I gotta say. That was fucking adorable. Kind of a weird song for him to sing in the middle of a... Whatever. Who is that? Is that... I think that's Cliff. What? Oh my god, is this a POV switch? Fuck yes! Lovely work, Cornelia. You're surely getting a hand at hang at this, aren't you? I guess I have to... No, I don't. I feel my body grow warm as the old stoat sitting next to me leans in, close to the canvas and my work. Draw my eyes to the old wooden floorboards to avoid his gaze. It smells of paint and smoke, as does this whole atelier. Whereas others might find an offensive odor, it puts me at ease. Reminds me I'm presence of an artist, friend, kindred spirit. You're still nowhere near to match you. I'm still nowhere near to... Oh, Cornelia... Who is this? I'm still nowhere near close to matching you, grandfather. Ish, bosh, your compositions are use of color are outstanding. You're what, 15? 14 and a half, sir. I turned 15 this September. Oh my god, Cliff has a September birthday? No. Oh no. I don't blame him for losing track sometimes, not with all that's happened. Even so, his memory is getting worse, and I'm quite certain he still thinks Marie is still 6 at times. 14 and a half. My, how time flies. I remember when you couldn't even pronounce the word easel, and look at you now. You'll be making royal portraits by the time you're 20, mark my words. It grows warmer still. What if Father's anything to say about the matter? Did he get cross with you again? He doesn't like it when I spend time with you. Calls it a waste of a bright mind. And you? I disagree. At all. Usually you speak more freely. Well aware the man loathes me, lad. No need to hold back for my sake. It's just that Art speaks to me in ways his business lectures don't. Takes me places I've only ever dreamt of. He intends to contain me in an office for the rest of my life, so I am some sort of beast to be caged and trained. Bores me to tears. Perhaps he's merely trying to keep you safe. It's only become worse since Mother... Stop for the shortest of moments, so does my heart. It aches. It's the first time I've spoken about her in a year, and yet the wound still feels fresh. Since Mother passed... His face falls at the mention of her. Her passing changed us all. I don't blame your father for wanting to keep you close, but you have a serious aptitude for the canvas, Cornelius. Be a waste of a bright mind not to hone it further yet. Thank you, sir. He passed him at his canvas. Well, I've been busy painting portraits. It looks like he's busying himself with the painting of a structure like anything I've ever seen. What did you end up painting? It looks rather elaborate for an afternoon sketch. Oh, it's nothing. Give me that look, that grin. Means he has something to hide and he desperately wants me to find out. Find out I shall. I'd very much like to know. Ah, very well. Are you familiar with the Meseta tribe? I can't say that I am, sir. I wasn't expecting you to be. There's an entire ocean between us after all. So how did you hear about them, sir? I recently happened upon a most curious book. I bought it for you, of course, but I rather fancied it myself. Why, I finished it in a single night. Went to this canvas. The paint is still wet. This is what is called a hogan. It's a Meseta dwelling. Like the houses line the canals here. There's confirmation. Cliff is from Amsterdam. Looks nothing. Yeah. What's more, it seems to be located in a rocky, sandy landscape, even more unlike the Batavia I know. It's what they call a desert. It's a rather unique shape. Why is that? Round shape is symbolic of the sun, which the doorway is just painted on. The door faces east, so the people living in the Hogan wake up every morning. You'll see the sunrise. Exactly. I've always wondered what it's like outside Batavia. I'd very much like to hear more. You'll see for yourself one day, Cornelius, when you're old enough. And with it, all the beauty the world has to offer. May I read the book? Piqued your interest, have I? It's difficult not to. Father wants me to business ledgers. Right there on my desk. Have at it. The paint is just as yet to dry anyway. Thank you very much, sir. So that's where his interest in. Do stop calling me sir, young man. I'm your grandfather, not the king of Batavia. I have a bad feeling that I don't want to see. An unpleasant warmth is the first thing I feel when I wake. The second, a warm, sweaty body draped over mine. My vision's blurry without my glasses, but the white fur is unmistakable. Oh my God! We're seeing through Cliff's eyes now. Oh my God! I'm happy. He's sleeping so soundly, long tail flicking against my leg, much like it did the first night we spent together. Much as I like to let him stay, his weight and the heat radiating from him are coming close to suffocating me. After all the setbacks we have suffered, I'd rather not have my life ended by one of my bedfellows rolling over on top of me. Samuel? There stings the back of my throat as I speak. It seemed last night's merriment took quite a bit out of me. Give him a little tap on the head. Gets a little reaction from him. His tail flicks against my leg again. tickles and I can't keep myself from twitching. Samuel! Trying to get from under him and his ways reduced me to... Pop goes the weasel again. It's writhing rather awkwardly. Quite unbecoming, but it does cause him to stir and finally open his eyes. Without my glasses, I can only see the color, that brilliant red, and immediately all is forgiven. Makes a sound somewhere between a grunt and a purr and yawns. That's fucking... I want to hear Sam that with that. Oh. Wow. A Samuel sprite. It's a shame I had to pause that because his dick was showing, but cool. Gets up on his knees and I savor the breath I've been holding in these past long minutes. Actually, with Cliff, I don't really have to... Yeah, with Cliff, I'm actually good at the British accent. Having to do the... Seems we're down up taking the foot. Yeah, that would be hard to do for a long time for me. He seems to regard my predicament with a degree of amusement. And while I usually cannot tell whether his affection for me is genuine or just part of his profession, this smile particularly seems true enough to me. I don't quite know what time it is at the moment. Still, it's rather dark out. I haven't had anyone call for me yet. For all I know, we still have hours before we need to leave. It still wouldn't be enough. His fingers dance down my chest. My heart thumps underneath them more frantically than I would like. Looks anything but restless. It's the first time I've seen him without a furrowed brow, without bags under his eyes. I sit up and he leans forward, meeting me halfway. The kiss we share is long and yet all too brief for my liking. I don't know what he's feeling right now, but it's the only way I can convey what I truly feel. Even I lack the vernacular to express. I wish it did not have to be this way. I wish I could spirit him away in the dead of night to some far-off country, where no one knows our names, where we can shed the hand of Carth society still doesn't start fresh. We both can stop pretending to be people we are most certainly not. Once all this is over, I might never meet this man again. I pull away from him and the world feels a lot colder. I take solace in his paw, cut my cheek, and clasp it tightly. Thank you. Okay, basically, Sam asked him, why do you have a sad face? And he explained that, he's working, the project he's doing. And he also said that, it's hard for him to ever have, revelry with other people. Kind of expressed that college parties for him are a bunch of smart people talking about how smart they are with wine. So, that's fucking interesting. Okay, Murdoch, my voice for him does not suit him at all, apparently, but whatever, fuck it. Hey, you folks alive in there? Let's get away from each other, trying to put our clothes back on in such a cramped space. Quite amusing considering the ease with which we slipped out of them only a few hours ago. It seems Samuel has removed his change of clothes and what was left of the supplies yesterday. Shame. Going to miss the overalls every put on him and putting him in. Those cutest button in them. Just a minute. My regular clothes are all the way to the bottom, sitting neatly folded into my bag of taffies as if I'd never disturbed them. I'd forgotten all about them. So much has happened since I opened this thing. I can't seriously be nostalgic for a few days. I can't seriously be nostalgic for something that only happened a few days prior, and yet here I am getting sentimental over a bag of candy of all things. I can't take it out and hold the bag aside with one leg and his trousers already. Oh, thanks. You're very welcome. Once I make sure both at least presentable, I open the flap to the tent. Mr. Burns' bright red fur and brightest smile is the first thing that greets me. I force my brightest smile in turn. You who, Murdoch? You sure took a while. Almost had me worried you wouldn't come out at all. Oh, to believe you're waiting. Just me. Ava and Jebediah are still sleeping too. You and Sam were the only ones going off together last night. I was feeling awful alone, after we had such a lovely evening. This dance already barely fitting both of us. You know as well as I do I have no problem slipping in tight spaces, Sam. Isn't that right, Cliff? I feel my face grow warm despite myself. You did enjoy it, right? Yes, very much so. Perks up. Spring should be free if you wanted to go do it again. I clicked my tongue at him. You're incorrigible. You didn't seem to mind last night. It's true. I felt a shiver across my back just recalling last night's events. The manner in which they both looked down at me. Their taste on my tongue. I stopped my thoughts before my thoughts get too explicit. I looked behind me to gauge Sam's reaction. He gives me the smallest of nods. It is still space after not a tent cramped as it is. Want to come in for a little while? I'll be right happy to. Really? You guys are having... Okay. I guess they just skipped over it. After we bid goodbye to everyone we met last night, we once again set off hopefully for the last time. It's amusing in a way. My studies have taken me to places far more seasoned, explorers but afraid to tread, yet none of my journeys have been quite so perilous or fraught with terror as this one. Well, my superiors will say when they find out what happened to me if I presented out naked honesty. I wonder what they'd think of Echo, that bustling jewel in the sand, and of its inhabitants. I doubt most of the things that transpired will even make it on my report once all this is done. A monster coming for us in the night, a man murdered in the mine, a mysterious cabin out in the woods. Last but not least, a rat getting whisked away with nobody knowing where he went. They probably rejected outright. And then there's Samuel and Murdoch. Well, that part of my story will certainly remain private for now. I'll have to schedule for treasuring these last few days I can spend with them. Perhaps by the time I'm more decrepit, it might make for a nice chapter in my autobiography. As the sun slowly ascends the sky, I once again feel the scorching desert heat bearing down on me. We've scarcely the count my shirt already clinging on my fur. After I just bathed this morning too. That's one thing I'm not going to miss about this place. The fuck? Go away. How much ground we're covering today? Why just the composure Sam carries in public in the wake of terror. Whether it's all front or not, it makes it look easy. I wish that Clifford Tippett that I could be that confident. Cliff? Oh! Caught myself dating it again. Got my throat when I was dry again. We should be there in a little while, I'd say. Not too long now. Y'all got legs to stand on. Someone's perky today. Don't you worry, we built up some muscle. We should be getting plenty of time to recuperate in the coming week. I mostly can't wait to put on regular clothes again. Oh, it's so cool seeing Sam actually, being able to actually see him emote. God. Week? Studying takes time, Sam. A week is even that long. There's studies which take months, if not years. So, vacation of sorts. He shrugs nonchalantly. Not for you, it isn't. I'll still need something to take pictures of my thesis, you know. Too bad, I was looking forward to what science this town has to offer. Maybe do some nato photography. He's mature on purpose, isn't he? Oh boy. Still, it's good enough to get a chuckle out of me. It's not a happy place, I'll have you know. Comment seems aimed solely at me. I have little choice but to take it in stride. There are a lot of folks live in the settlement. It's not a tenth the size of Echo, I'd reckon. Folks are only how to leave a trade. That all? Yeah. And only with permission from the military or an agent. Why? They can control us. Keep an eye on us. He scoffs. Can't go where he plays, can't do as he please. Pains me to hear it. I'm well aware of the way my contemporaries discuss them, as it has, well as the other tribes like them, but still, it's quite disheartening. Strive to improve relations between us so we can understand one another. The last thing I want is to dismantle our relationship any further. Has anyone ever raised a fuss about it? Believe me, plenty of people have. We don't make the rules. Military's all too happy to bend their own to take what they want from us. I'm sure with the correct reasoning. Trail officer eyes bore into me. How do you go from a situation like this The desert is a good place to ponder matters like this either way. I'm starting to get parched. By the time the sun's been high in the sky, we reach a large town gate, unlike Echoes. There are two canines posted at the entrance, but their guard was resembled in no Meseta clothing, and they look armed to the teeth. Jebediah walks down ahead to talk to them. One of them turns his head to give us a once-over. If I focus and touch Jebediah once more, his eyes stay glued to Ava and our fishermen friends. It's a look of utmost disdain I'd have not seen since the legs of the gentleman at Saguaro's hip brought me outside. Finally tips his head back, shouting something I can't quite make out. Jebediah beckons us near, and the sturdy metal gates open with a shriek that might very well be loud enough to wake up the entire settlement. God, this is fucking disgusting. Or no one, it seems. The streets are mostly empty. It's as densely packed as a charming little town could be, but there are no people to feel that denseness, no joy to feel the silence. No laughing children, no soundy young men hawking newspapers, no ladies discussing gossip in the square. Or what is there just feels hollow, eerie, as if abandoned in a hurry. None of the unique architecture I've read about is present, and neither the colourful fabric hot Monabo's home. In fact, there's nary a speck of colour to be found at all. Not just the gates resembles Echoes, but the entire town. Its wooden buildings at the position of the lone church sitting on the other end of this long street we're in. All the wooden paintwork entirely white. It's quite striking. Stark contrast, rather drab architecture around it. Yeah, they're trying to get the Meseta to follow Christianity, apparently. I'm guessing, but God, that's fucking disgusting. To call this place a cell when I don't see nobody. They're most likely still asleep. But it's what, noon? Afternoon nap, maybe? Can't see a thing through the windows. If anybody's home, they're pretty well hidden. Strange. We head down what assumed Main Street, whereas Echo was lived in and dirty. The settlement is immaculately clean, almost frighteningly so. Even the smells aren't as bad. Quite pleasant, actually. Must be the desert blooms I see potter around here and there. Rast! I woke up with quite possibly the loudest church bell I've ever heard in my life. They leave a ringing in my ear long after they're done sounding. Looks like there might be a service going on. Maybe that's where the welcome pod is hiding. Didn't think that many must say to follow Jesus. Notice Avery's expression of curiosity and pain. After a few moments, as if they were waiting for us, the door is open. An imposing heron stands in the doorway, paying his little mind. His feathers are as pristine as the fresh paint on the building itself. Despite the cutting winds, his coal-colored cassock doesn't show a hint of sand, wear, or tear. As though this man only just came off one of Mr. Ford's assembly lines moments ago, smelling like fresh paint. Avery's watching him alongside me. His eyes narrow, his lips purse. He murmurs only one word. Cardwell. So this is my contact. I expected him to be more like the people I met in Echo, rowdy and unwashed, but this man looks like he came from another world entirely. When we finally do catch his attention, it's as though he's peering right through our beings, looking out into the distance as people stream out of the church into the streets. It doesn't take long for him to regard the wind, to brush off his shoulder and to blow back into the church past the crowd still spilling out. Footfalls on the sound I hear, rhythmic, loud, as if they're marching formation. It's quite the sight to see. Even so, none of them look particularly happy. Those who know what, fuck this, I'm done with that. Ugh. Those who notice quickly avert their eyes and disperse, leaving the streets as empty as they were moments ago. All without making a sound. That was a grim procession. They aren't too keen on folks from outside. Usually means trouble. You do kind of stick out here. Like a sore thumb. Still, that was quite unusual treatment even for outsiders. I'd hope we'd finally be out of the metaphorical woods, but it seems trouble's yet brewing. I only hope it doesn't get in the way of my work. I hope it's not going to be promised we have a place to stay. I'm surprised you didn't plan that far ahead. I don't suppose we could stay with one of the travel companions. They already got enough mouths to feed as it is. No problem, though. There's an inn pretty close by. There is? Splendid. Sam Murdoch, would you be so kind as to rent a room for two for our party? Please inform the Pride that money's not no issue. What are you gonna do in the meantime? I have business to attend to. So do we. Right, Jeb? Right, I need a butter for a new pair of donks if I'm gonna make it back to Echo this year. Man finds a spring in his step, and I'm beginning to think Avery played a large part in improving his mood, at least based on what I smell on him. We can meet before sundown if you'd like. Of course. No thanks, we're out to pack our catches, and then we'll have to see Sheila's folks to tell them. Pauses, his expression softens considerably, although albeit for a moment. Reoccurrence. What happened? Is it okay if I ask you some questions later? It won't take long, I promise. Fine, I guess. Splendid. Rick splits up just to be arranged, and at last I breathe out a sigh. The first time alone in days, but it doesn't feel particularly freeing. Only feels more stifling. Especially with that heron still standing in the doorway of the church building as if he waited for everyone else to leave. Walks over to him, making no sound, his expression unchanging. It's like this man was walking on air. Oh dear God, I fucking hate this dude. I suppose you were the one they sent from Echo. His voice is higher and pitched than mine, breathing like the murmurs of a ghost. Okay. Pale as this man's feathers are, he might easily pass for one. You're Mr. Caldwell, I presume? His hand was back when I offered him to shake. Reverend Caldwell, and you are... Seizes me up. Not since the proprietress of Saguaro's hip have I felt so small, so insignificant. Cornelius Van Howlink. Correct. I've strained my name for so long. My actual name. But with posture shit by those who are something so by father again. Cants his head. Well, Mr. Van Howlink, you're late. Oh yes, my apologies. We've had quite the eventful journey. Why, I'm surprised we were only delayed by 2 days. 2 days? I was informed of your departure from Echo 2 weeks ago. That can't be possible. We left earlier this week. Didn't we? I can't help but doubt my recollection of events. No, we left only a few days ago. Personally selected the day. Going insane? Very much like John Sturber shaking his head. I care for not the how and why. The fact remains that you're late. I'm not an idle man, Mr. Van Howling. Were it not for the good this partnership would do the community, I would have torn up the papers and sent you on your way outright. I'm terribly sorry. He pays my attention a little more as he looks behind me, so testing the temperature over the wind. I must say, I'm quite surprised to see him out of the cloth in the Meseta settlement. And what, pray tell, is so strange about it? Do you not think the people of this fine community deserve salvation? I wasn't saying that. One ought to think before speaking his mind. We are all worthy of God's love, even the Meseta. There's a stern Gibson's earnesty there. And it would seem that today he has brought us a great blessing indeed. You did bring the contract, did you not? I have it in my pack, yes. Good. Could you tell me more? I must confess I have an incomplete picture of what this venture entails. Even my contacts only tell me so much. Some benefactors at least doing the bare minimum of covering his tracks. You're right, you know my thesis on Meseta, are you not? I am. And the subject? Just like he knows the answer. Repeat it for him anyway. Crossing cultural boundaries through labor to create a unified working force. Say it slowly so I don't trip my words, just the way I rehearsed. And there we are. Smiles him sweetly. What if I told you the answers to all your burning questions are right here under your feet? Are you referring to the settlement? Not the settlement, the land. What makes the land so special? You must be well aware of the ever-increasing need for railroads, Mr. Van Howling. They become the very veins which pump the lifeblood of our country, transporting people and goods worth more than you or I could ever imagine. And yet we see very little of it. Do you know why that is? So his father's quizzing me again. The trains don't reach here. Correct. You're planning to extend the railroad through Meseta land? Wouldn't that displace all these people? Not at all. One intentions were to lead them to pioneer the construction. Goodness gracious. Forgive me for this skepticism, but do you really think that's prudent? I can't see them agreeing to an arrangement. Well, I have to disagree with you there. Long-term direction and daily routine are fairly desirable things. Fair pay for steady work and access to modern amenities will only help the people living here. Some of these rivers and mountain ranges are considered sacred. To the older generation, perhaps, but I can attest to the truth that the young think otherwise. I'm a patient shepherd, Mr. Van Howling, but I know that most of my flock does not wish to wallow in superstition for a moment longer. Fuck you. I want to fucking rip your throat out. I mean no disrespect, considering such things are your... It's nice to be searching for the right word. Expertise? I feel myself blinking. A nerve of this fucking... It's taking a certain amount of my tongue at the moment, so that's what I've been trumping to hell and back for all these weeks. A bloody railroad. He looks at with a heavy portion of skepticism, taking another breath and smile. In return for your assistance, of course, I'll see to it that your studies aren't interrupted and you can roam the area freely. Anywhere I please. His brow. There are restrictions. For one, I cannot allow you to the boarding school, even without my strict supervision. After all, we wouldn't want to upset... Just me up and down slowly. The children. Oh, really? I think I'd be correct in assuming the well-being of the children in this man's care are the least thing on his mind. Please do not disturb the military men stationed here. They only have the settlement's best interests at heart. Does one truly need an armory worth of weapons to protect a small town's interests? Echo's got little more than Sheriff Adler, and for what my contacts tell me, it's usually enough. It won't be a problem. Also, I trust Mr. Hendricks told you this deal is strictly under the table at the very least. Neither you, friends, nor the Meseta are to know. Of course. Wouldn't even so much look at the contract's contents, according to Mr. Hendricks. He's very insistent. Deliver the papers to me at sundown. Until then, you may do as you'd like. Thank you, I'll do just that. Oh, and Mr. Van Howling. Yes? Do heed my warnings. I hate for your friends to end up in places you shouldn't be. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. With a curt bow of his head, he walks, and glides back to the church, leaving me all alone in the town square. I'm more confused than I'd like. Really now? Are you kidding me? Does he really think he can get me to do entirely what he wants after acting so rude? It's obvious this man has something to hide, and even more obvious he's rather poor at doing so. What could it be? Perhaps I should investigate. I'm sure the townspeople can give me at least something to work with, but then again, I should be working on my thesis as well. Trouble happens to find me when I'm doing the work, then he can only blame himself. You still have some time before Sam Murdoch come looking for me. I'm probably best off looking for some familiar faces first. Sayla and Yiska will do. Right. I think this is the building I saw them both walk into. Knock on the front door and I wait. Curiously, much more of a Western log cabin than I expected. See some Hogan structures close to the tree line, but they don't look as well maintained as the one Gab and Monobo live in. Door opens. When the Kit Fox sees me, he looks behind me and explains somebody else. Does Avery bring more information about the attack? Not quite. Fortunate. He'll mean when he wants to discuss the attack with me. I close the door, going up on my foot forward. By Kismet, it just so happens I want to talk to you when Yiska alone. Sid narrows his eyes. Why? Because I want to know more about the people who live here and used to live here, and I have some information that can be relevant still to your futures. An open line of communication all I'm asking for. When he opens the door a little more, I stumble forward. Fine. The cabin is far cozier on the inside than it looks. Framed pictures of pressed leaves line the wall, woven serapes line the walls, and chairs by the hearth. Bear ignores me while he loads what looks like rat fish into an icebox. Settlement seems a bit different from what I pictured for a large Meseta community. Have the two of you lived here all your lives? This was Father's first home, but now it is mine. And what about Yiska? As Briggs looking more my way. Family. All mine have been here for 35 years. I see. That's barely a generation. What confused me, though, is that, from what I had gathered from trustworthy sources, the Meseta have had a strong tradition of maintaining a nomadic lifestyle. The laws of this country made that impossible for most. You were from Europa, yes? That's right. The truth is, it would have been best for everybody if your ancestors stayed there. Just a little bit flushed. I want to believe that a world where everybody understands one another is better leads to compromise and respect. Understanding one another also exposes vulnerabilities, yes. Exploitable vulnerabilities. I would suppose it would be a reasonable position to take. The collective information that my people give freely tends to be used by your people against them. I know that I am strong, and I do not fear to be understood, but I am just one person. I talked about myself, but I will not talk about my people. But now that we have talked so much already, you said you have information to share. That's right. I like they have a right to know what's coming, but Yiska does have a point. If I tell them too much, it places a considerable amount of scrutiny on myself and all my endeavors. I wonder if there's some compromise we can come to where everybody can win here. Shit. Do you think, or there are? Both of the men look one another than at me. That must never happen. A connection from here to there must not be established. Yiska hisses something I cannot understand. I can tell it was something in the Meseta language, but not vernacular I'm familiar with. Sayla's brow furrows and he looks a little sickened. Can't guarantee that James would cancel a project like this if they did happen to dig up some scales in the river, of course. I'm not exactly lying to them. Things certainly don't seem very ordinary to me around here. If the Reverend isn't conducting himself in a way that is befitting civilized society, then I don't wish to reward him. So let's help one another. Not out a paw. The fox looked like a dead thing I dragged out of the road. Bear takes and shakes it firmly. And then put some leads together for you tonight. Good on you, man, good on you. What a pity it would be for that puffed up poultry to be there for this reason. For there to be some reason the railroad project can't get off the ground. James might be disappointed this venture doesn't turn out well, but I'm sure he's backup plans for the routes just in case. And if that goes poorly too, then Father would just have to cope with that. Check my watch. I should still have time to check into some matters. I walked for ages to get here. I need new contacts. Surely there has to be a general store or a trading post. Those are always a good place to start when you don't know anybody. I stopped walking when I heard a crunchy noise behind me. It's Jebediah, holding a bright, shiny apple with a recent bite mark in the flesh. You seem like you've been busy. Yes, well, what else is new? I can hardly complain. This is an extraordinary opportunity for me, after all. Men with the skirt. Drifted toward the church. What an odd thing to say. Not usually one to speak or ask questions for that matter. The clergy has closer connections to people here than the magistrate. The Reverend Caldwell was speaking on my behalf to the town's officials to let us stay here for a while. My studies. Blinks. Clergy aren't supposed to have that much direct say in the law. Their own church forbids it. It's not wrong. I suspect it's more of a gentle request than demand. Gentle, huh? Don't really want to linger on this very much longer. The apple looks delicious. Where could I buy one myself? Mrs. Highbrow says nothing. Trey imposes the wooden cabin with the red tin roof. Splendid, I'll be back in a jiffy. His eyes are in the back of my neck as I walk away. Can't blame him for being suspicious of this place, but surely he knows that he can trust me. I am his employer, after all. A small bell rings and I walk through a wooden door. It's a modest little trade post, but there's something to everything. Canned food, oil lamps, fishing poles, hardware tools. An old-looking gray squirrel is manning the cash register with what looks to be your daughter helps her start the shelves. Quite of a new idea. She looks at me with a facial expression possible to read. Not angry, not cheerful, not bored, not bothered. Withdrawn, perhaps. My friend tells me so delicious apples here. Waits to a crate full of them at the door. Oh, good. Well, I'd like to pay for a dozen then. But the price and then says nothing else. Not a bad price at all. My friends and I are in a bit of a pick, and we all need a lot of supplies and provisions to make for what we lost on the road. Where else could we go for town for supplies? This is the only store. I don't mind going on my way. I've traveled about 2 weeks on foot already just to get here. 2 weeks. There's no noticeable waver in my voice when I say those words. I still hardly believe it's been that long. Unless the Reverend was playing some sort of twisted joke on me. Is it the forest? It couldn't have been. This is the only store. No markets, no craft exchanges? She just repeats the same line. She isn't impatient with me, she isn't angry. It feels like I'm interacting with a recording. None of this makes sense to me at all. Surely one store that will be able to serve an entire community. Nothing about it speaks to the presence of a Seda community save a poultry selection, selling pottery and some woven fabrics. If there are no other ways to buy goods, then surely there are other ways this community will help one another. Even if there's not much I can purchase, I'd still love to know more about how people here cooperate. She shrugs. What can't be bought is made or grown or traded. Rations are distributed weekly by the township. It is sold here for those visiting or passing through. People with money. I suppose it makes me wonder. Wonder what? If more people with money came through... Fuck are you doing? If more people with money came through the area, wouldn't there be more supplies and thus more business? Why is there only enough local business for one store? Maseda traditions are not desirable to the Commonwealth. Path citizenship into purchasing land requires embracing traditions which are. I see. Will you buy something else? I feel a little paralyzed. I'll take a water skin. Oh, and I want to ask something else. From the cash box and stairs. Now, I don't mean to come across as superstitious. On my journey here, my companions and I ran into some building hazards. Is there anything in the area you'd advise newcomers to stay clear of? Visitors come and visitors leave. There's no danger that applies to them, but there are some things to know while you are here. Things like what? Well in the center of town is not dry, but nobody drinks from it. Why? She shrugs. Everybody gets sick. We draw from the river instead. Another thing is that the lights in the school are always on after dark, and nobody goes to see why. Most curious. Maybe this has something to do with the Reverend stipulations. Last is that curfew is 8 p.m. Anything bad has happened to anybody in this town has happened after curfew. That would be after sundown, just about the time the Reverend asked me to bring them documents. There's also the trail. I flinch. Forgotten the daughter was there. What trail? It is a fairy story, do not pay it mind. Fairy stories just be quite a bit. Remember the ones grandfather used to tell me. I'd give anything to read that big old book with the tales from the Brothers Grimm again. You should know that she does pay it mind. Shakes her head, shushing her. It's just a game that I still play. Might I hear the rules? She purses her lips and crosses her chubby arms. There is a trail leading west out of the settlement. When I was little, some cousins and I would walk on this trail and feel very unnerved. We'd face each other walking backwards and call one another names, and then... well, sometimes we swore we could hear one another behind us when we were looking forward, coming from the woods. Thought I experienced it once, but it never happened again. You said you buried your shoes because you didn't want to risk bringing one pebble back. Something had upset me that night, but like I said, whatever happened never happened again. Wesley said, makes me wonder. Now, thank you for your talk and your time. It's about time for me to scoot along. She hands me my purchases and I have to put some of the apples in my pack. Leave with more questions I entered with. And yet, along with a conspicuously large amount of apples, I picked up a curious sense of determination as well. Unraveling the mysteries of this quaint little town shall no doubt be my largest task yet. I look at my watch once more. I ought to go and see if Sam Murdoch's seated against the room. I think I'd do well to get some rest. After that, I don't know. Very least, I would do well to find Avery soon. He might know more about Codwell than anyone out here is willing to tell me. Perhaps he can shed some light on the rumors I just heard. If anything, he might be willing to take one of these apples off my hands. I don't know how to feel about the settlement quite yet. Can't help but ponder what the rest of the week will offer. Oh my god. Okay. Cool. Wow. So that's the end of that. Echo Project and all that. And here is all of the people that work on it. George, Howley, yeah, all of these people. I guess we're moving back to Williams route now, and after that, I'll be done with the smoke room for now. Crazy how time flies. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. Bye, fuckers.